Why is my Windows PC not booting with UEFI? Imagine turning on your computer and instead of the usual startup, it just sits there. No Windows logo, no loading screen, nothing. It can be frustrating, but understanding why your Windows PC isn't booting with UEFI can help you fix it quickly. First, let's look at what UEFI actually is. UEFI stands for Unified Extensible Firmware Interface. It replaces the older BIOS system and offers faster startup, support for larger drives, and better security features like Secure Boot. For Windows to boot properly with UEFI, your system needs to be configured correctly. One common reason your PC might not boot with UEFI is the firmware settings. If your system is set to Legacy BIOS or Compatibility Support Module mode instead of UEFI mode, Windows might not start. Changing this setting requires entering the firmware setup during startup, usually by pressing a key like F2 or delete. Be cautious when switching modes, especially if your disk is formatted with MBR instead of GPT. Another issue could be disk partitioning. UEFI requires the disk to use GPT partitioning. If your disk is formatted with MBR, Windows won't boot in UEFI mode. You can check this using disk management tools or command line utilities. If needed, converting the disk from MBR to GPT is possible but involves data backup and careful steps. The FI system partition is also vital. This small partition contains the bootloader files Windows needs to start. If it's missing, corrupted, or not assigned a drive letter, the system can't find the files it needs to boot. You can use tools like DiskPart to assign a drive letter to this partition and verify its contents. Corruption or damage to the FI partition or bootloader files can also cause boot failures. Windows updates, malware, or disk issues might damage these files. Using recovery tools like Startup Repair or command line utilities such as Bootrec or BCDboot can help rebuild or repair these files. Hardware compatibility can play a role too. Some older motherboards or firmware versions might not fully support UEFI, especially with newer drives. Updating your motherboard firmware can fix these issues. Loose or faulty connections, especially with storage devices, can also prevent proper booting. To troubleshoot, start by entering the firmware setup and ensuring UEFI mode is enabled. Check that your disk uses GPT partitioning and that the FI partition exists and has a drive letter. Use Windows recovery tools to repair the bootloader if needed. Updating your firmware can also improve compatibility. If Secure Boot is enabled, make sure the correct keys are installed, or try disabling Secure Boot temporarily to see if that helps. Remove any external devices that could interfere with the boot process. If you've cloned your drive or migrated Windows, verify that the FI partition and boot configuration were copied correctly. Understanding these factors can help you identify why your Windows PC isn't booting with UEFI. It all comes down to proper system configuration, disk setup, and bootloader integrity. Systematic checks and repairs can get your computer back to a normal startup, taking advantage of UEFI's benefits.